What is going to happen to electricity costs in South Africa? And how is your business going to manage the cost of energy in the future? In this video, I look at what has happened to energy costs in the past, what is likely to happen in the future, and what are the options available to business owners to manage this very difficult problem. Many small to medium-sized businesses have installed power backup systems, often with solar panels, to ensure uninterrupted power supply. Indeed, your customers today expect that your business would have taken steps to cope with power interruptions. In this video, I aim to persuade business owners to make a subtle but important change in the way they think about power backup systems. For reasons which will become apparent during this presentation, I expect load shedding to reduce, but the cost of electricity, I believe, is likely to rise substantially in the near future. I argue that business owners must have a shift in thinking about power backup systems as simply a way of dealing with power interruptions, to thinking about installing a power backup system as an energy management system aimed at reducing the overall costs of energy for the business's needs. By 2022, Eskom's electricity tariffs had increased by over 450% over the preceding 15 years, outpacing inflation by over 350%. This trend is likely to continue. To understand the reasons behind this seemingly unstoppable trend towards higher energy prices, we need to dig a little bit deeper. Henry Ford said that nothing happens until someone sells something. This is true for all businesses. Eskom's revenues depend on making sales. According to the South African Reserve Bank, Eskom's sales have reduced by approximately 0.5% per year since 2006. Sales of electricity to critical industries, including rail, the industrial sector, and the mining sector, have all reduced substantially. This reduction in electricity sales is due in part to slowing economic growth, but also a consequence of a major shift amongst industrial users towards alternative sources of energy. Large businesses, industrial consumers of electricity with deep pockets, can invest substantial amounts of capital in green energy solutions. But this is not an option available to small and medium-sized businesses. Reduction in sales is only half the story. Significant increases in operating expenses has impacted Eskom severely. Eskom spent over 12.4 billion rand in just 4 months during 2023 to run open-cycle gas turbines to stave off higher stages of load shedding. A failure to maintain critical infrastructure has caused significant increases in maintenance costs. Eskom is also widely criticized for being overstaffed. A World Bank report argued that Eskom was 66% overstaffed at the time of the report. Eskom is also under significant political pressure as a state-owned entity to agree to labor union demands for above inflation salary adjustments. But then there is another, less spoken of factor, and that is the insidious role that municipalities have played in rising energy costs. Municipalities levy a surcharge on electricity sales to consumers. Revenues from these sales are not ring-fenced and are often used by municipalities to provide for other expenses. Many economists have accused municipalities of unduly profiting from electricity sales to consumers. Research conducted by Prima Research estimates that municipalities made excess profits of approximately 46 billion rand in the 10 years leading up to 2018. At the same time, municipal debt owed to Eskom has grown to over 63 billion rand by August 2023. Eskom is in trouble and is likely to ask for government bailouts in the coming years. All of this means only one thing, and that is higher energy prices for consumers in the future. So the question is, what is going to happen to electricity tariffs in the future? How will Eskom seek to generate more sales revenues? And who is likely to bear the brunt of rising electricity costs? Large industrial consumers of energy is likely to continue to shift towards renewable sources of energy. Sales to the industrial and the mining sector is likely to reduce and to reduce even faster. Households and small to medium-sized businesses are likely to be Eskom's main customers in the future. The question is, how will Eskom increase their sales revenues from these customers? Eskom will likely push not only for higher electricity tariffs, but will probably want to implement a tariff regime where electricity costs during peak times is much higher than electricity tariffs during low or off-peak times. The difference in tariff between peak and off-peak times is also likely to widen significantly. The nature and scope of such a tariff regime is likely to be expanded to cover different times of the day and may even make provision for seasonal adjustments. Homeowners and small to medium-sized businesses will have to accept higher electricity tariffs. Homeowners, however, can install a solar system to reduce the overall cost of electricity. But this is not an option available to many small and medium-sized businesses. Small to medium-sized businesses are likely to be tenants. They don't own their own property and as a result don't have access to a rooftop or some other structure on which to erect a large solar array to generate electricity. Using a petrol or diesel generator is not only very expensive, but also very disruptive, very noisy. So what is the solution for small to medium-sized businesses? I believe that power storage is fast becoming a viable option. During off-peak times, when electricity tariffs are low, the business uses power from the municipality with which it charges its batteries. Then, during peak times, when electricity tariffs are high, the business uses the power stored in the batteries for its energy needs. This way, the business benefits from a lower average electricity cost per unit used. Where possible, and perhaps with the consent of a landlord, a solar array of panels can be installed to reduce the overall cost of electricity further. Up to the present time, business owners invested in batteries primarily to get through load shedding. In the future, power storage is going to be an integral part of what a business uses to reduce its overall electricity costs. The good news is that power backup systems have improved dramatically. Batteries are much more compact and much more efficient than before. New hybrid inverters accommodate energy generated from various sources, including energy from the grid, from solar panels, and from a generator. Today's new hybrid inverters allow for a much more efficient energy management system. Even though the costs of power backup systems have reduced in recent times, such a system is still expensive. How will small to medium-sized businesses afford a power backup system? Very few small to medium-sized businesses have the capital to buy a power backup system outright and are likely to need some form of financing. An unsecured business loan may be an option for a small business that needs a limited amount of capital to buy a basic power backup system. The problem with unsecured loans is the financing costs, usually ranging from about 24 to 28% per annum. Shorter loan periods with higher finance costs make unsecured lending as a solution not a very viable option for small businesses, as it results in high monthly repayments. Some financiers offer an asset buyback option as a finance solution for, amongst others, the acquisition of a power backup system. With this type of solution, the business provides the financier with assets that are unencumbered. In other words, assets that the business does not owe debt on. The financier then keeps those assets as collateral and extends a loan to the business. An asset buyback option may be an option for businesses that do not want to enter into a long-term finance arrangement. Finance costs are likely to be lower than an unsecured loan, but very few small businesses have the type of assets suitable for an asset buyback loan. A business that owns its own commercial property, or where the owners of the business owns the property where the business operates from, may consider commercial property finance as an option to raise capital with which the business can acquire a power backup system. In my experience, commercial property finance offer the lowest finance costs overall, but the initial costs and the time and effort involved in setting up a commercial property finance deal is rather burdensome and really only makes sense where the business wants to raise a substantial amount of capital, probably in the region of 3 to 5 million rand at a minimum. In my experience, an asset finance solution is for most small businesses the most viable option. An asset finance solution, either in the form of an installment credit agreement, a typical term loan, or a capital lease, sometimes referred to as a rental. Asset finance are often provided to small to medium-sized businesses over terms ranging from 3 to 7 years, with a finance costs usually expressed as prime plus 3 to 5% per annum. Longer loan terms with lower financing costs results in lower overall monthly repayments. But there is a catch. Financiers that provide an asset finance solution will insist that the installation of the power backup system is done by a qualified electrical contractor, usually accredited by the financier, and that the equipment is procured from an accredited equipment supplier. For advice on what type of financing solution is most appropriate for your business, contact me, Dion de Bruin, Constructum Consulting, directly. Constructum Consulting offers small to medium-sized businesses a project management solution for your power backup and renewable energy needs. We will do all the work for you. We advise you on the most appropriate finance solution for your business. We will obtain quotations for the installation of the equipment and quotations from accredited equipment suppliers for the components. We will also facilitate your application for finance with the financiers. My contact details will appear at the end of this video. Thank you for watching and all the best with your business.